Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today is another in a series of collaborations with the wonderful Reena from Gold Key Guidance. We're exploring all the different archetypes of the major arcana and we're pairing them. You may have seen a number of the other ones we've done in this space. Today we're looking at the core divine masculine feminine archetypes, to look at that kind of energy and how that's manifesting in your life. So I'm channeling messages from the Emperor, and I'll be looking at your passion, your purpose, your action, all the kind of things that we associate with the Emperor, and with a little bit of a emphasis on things like career, vocation, achievement, all of those sort of energies. And Reena will be looking at the divine feminine archetype through the Empress, so channeling the Empress and looking at nurturing, abundance, manifestation, creativity, all the sorts of things that we associate with the divine feminine. Of course, we all have both in our beings, and it's always good to try and have them in balance. And none of this is about gender. I want to say that right up front because people could potentially sort of confuse that. We're talking about the energies that we have within us. And certainly within mine, I will let briefly the Empress speak, but that's more as a kind of a pointing you towards Reena's readings, because it's very important to get that balance and to see what both of these very powerful archetypes want to say to you. So I normally, with these, pick 3 different tarot decks and have the archetype as the choice, but I very deliberately didn't do it this time because I have been waiting, and we've been waiting to do this particular pairing for when a Kickstarter campaign I backed was fulfilled, and that was for the wonderful tarot, the Arcane Warrior Tarot by Levi Smits. Now, Levi is actually a fellow tarot tuber. He does a wonderful channel called Masculine Intuition Readings, and he is also the creator of the Brother to Brother Oracle, which I have and supported on Kickstarter as well, and you've seen on this channel and you will see in this reading. But I very much wanted to use that tarot because it's very much around the divine masculine archetype and so forth. It seemed to be the exact perfect tarot to use for this. So therefore I am actually using a second tarot deck to get the Empress's view very briefly, but the primary tarot deck will in fact be the Arcane Warrior Tarot deck. And I very much recommend Levi's work. He's amazing. You should get 5 gold stars for his fulfillment of Kickstarters. It's always such a pleasure to back his work. He's so efficient with all of that. He very much manifests some of the sort of like the powerful energy that you would get with this particular Emperor archetype. So shout out to him and to his work, and you'll see this as the reading progresses. So as a result, in terms of looking at the choice, I'll just put down the numbers as usual. I've used the Gods and Titans deck to look at an energy around how your divine masculine, your Emperor energy is manifesting at the moment and where it's taking you. So this may help with the choice of the energy or the visuals, draw you towards it. Otherwise, you do you and determine what reading or readings you want to go to. Of course, you can go to more than one. But for pile number 1, we have Garuda, talking about travel, flight, movement. For pile number 2, we have Helios, cycles, changes, systems, things that you sort of build upon and learn from and so forth. And for pile 3, we have Look, which is about skill and how one applies skill. So that will give you a bit of an idea. There is going to be at the end of the reading another card from this deck, and we're also going to be looking at the Brother to Brother Oracle to get a sense at the beginning about what are some of the themes of your Emperor energy and what the Emperor wants to channel to you. So as I say, they may help you choose. But beyond that, choose however you want. The timestamps are in the description box below. And please do remember to go to see Reena's readings as well too. She is a very creative person. Like I would say of the two of us, she is the most naturally creative. So she seemed to be the exact, we felt actually, apart from the fact that I wanted to use this tarot deck, just as an aside, we felt that I kind of come from a kind of corporate sort of background, and I am very focused on those sorts of things with my background, so it seemed a natural synergy to the Emperor. Reena is creative, she's artistic, she's dramatic, she's all of those sort of things, all that kind of like energy of the Empress. So I feel that you're really going to get some powerful messages there. So make sure if you have come to this reading first that you also go to Reena's as well. Beyond that, when you're ready, I'll see you in your reading. Welcome, Pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Garuda. Garuda is a Hindu god. And one of the things I find very interesting about the way that he is depicted in this particular deck and described in this particular deck is it talks about one of the most well-known and powerful stories about Garuda is that his mother was kidnapped by serpents and he freed her by undertaking a dangerous quest to get the elixir of immortality. So I feel that in this, very strongly, there's a sense that there's something about your divine masculine, I think, that is very protective of and maybe also looking to free or release something in relation to your divine feminine. So right from the outset, I would say, very, very strong link to whatever you choose in Reena's reading, because I feel that your divine masculine in terms of passion, purpose, activity, action, all of these things is looking somehow to create a situation for the divine feminine to then manifest and bring in abundance. And therefore it's very interesting that the energy that I see here coming from the brother to brother oracle firstly is manifest. So I think, and with the unicorn as a representation of manifestation, I feel like there's something very unique here. And the bee, the work, is putting the effort into doing this, focusing this effort on manifestation. So I think there's a very, very strong creative energy here and a very, very strong unique energy. I feel as though however you do your work, whatever you do in terms of passion and purpose, underneath all of it is a calling towards creating something very new, very unique, something very you. And that is very much connected to your inner divine feminine, so therefore the Empress energy. In fact, I suspect for some of you, this is a very literal indication that you have been working maybe in a space that is very regimented or very of the collective and of the norm, because the bee, when you think about it, the bee works within a collective. The bee is very industrious. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a really wonderful thing. But what the bee probably wouldn't do to the same degree is bring in something unique. So I feel that we're actually seeing almost a story here right from the start, which is you've been very industrious. You're very good at what you do. You are very group-oriented, other person-oriented, and responsibility-oriented, all of which are very powerful things around the divine masculine and the Emperor energy. If you are to succeed in anything, you do need to put the work in, and you know that. But there is something that needs to be released and freed in you so that that can be manifest. And that, as I say, it's got something to do with the creative or the divine feminine, bringing those things into alignment. There's a lot of bravery here. Garuda is very brave. Garuda in rescuing his mother was very brave. So there's a sort of sense here of your passion and purpose now. What the Emperor is talking to you about is how you release what is unique within you, balancing with the divine feminine and having the bravery to move away maybe from collective focuses to something that is much more you. So there's a real sense of momentum here. Let's have a look with tarot about a little bit more of this. So we're going to ask what messages the Emperor is bringing you at the moment for your passion and purpose and action. And then we're going to look at what will benefit you now and what could inhibit you or challenge you now. And then we'll ask the Empress for some of her viewpoint as well. So firstly, just taking into account this theme, which I think is bringing things into balance within you to liberate something much more unique. What further message around this does the Emperor want to bring you? Two of Discs, Knight of Cups reversed, Two of Cups. Oh, okay. Eight of Swords reversed, and the Emperor reversed. So this is, the Emperor comes up as the monarch in this deck. So there's a definite message here for you. I think that many of you are very strongly within you as a natural thing. You tend to almost tilt towards and favour the divine masculine, particularly as it pertains to work. To the degree that you have also tilted towards the divine feminine, it's almost as though it's in service to others. Because, the bees, as I understand it, there is a queen bee, and that's why we get that sort of concept. So there is a sense of maybe in service to something else and to others. You've kind of done that sort of work, and not necessarily seeing yourself as a leader, but the divine masculine, the Emperor is saying to you now, you need to release yourself from a viewpoint of yourself as not being that. So this, at the very least, is saying moving from being in a team, for instance, to being a manager. But I do feel there's something very unique in this. It's like it's something, a unique talent you have, or a unique vision that connects to the divine feminine. And this is saying there is a choice. There's a very material choice for you at the moment that allows you to connect more to your heart. So I think this is the thing. I think you're very duty oriented, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of respect for people who do, follow duty. I mean, because we do need to do that. It's one of the sort of things that we need to do. We're not here on this earth just about ourselves. But if anything, you have kind of tilted more towards that. And this movement, your emperor wants to be turned around. He wants to actually be freed by connecting more to the heart. And so that actually takes you to your leadership, and that actually takes you to the full fruition of the divine masculine, the emperor energy. So the emperor is saying that the pathway to you fully living your passion and purpose is to connect more with your heart and connect more with the nurturing and creative energy of the empress. And that will, in fact, bring you towards what you are meant to be. Just doing the duty thing is not going to do it. So this is a very, very strong indication of making some material choices to unlock the emotional connection to what you're doing, as opposed to being caught by the sense of duty and philosophy and belief structures to really unleash this. So it is an interesting thing that it is in balancing and bringing more forward of the divine feminine and the empress. You'll actually create more for the divine masculine and then get a sense of liberation and the sense of what is unique. So what passion and purpose and action will most benefit you now? 10 of Cups, 7 of Swords reversed. That's the High Priestess reversed and called the Oracle in this deck. 4 of Swords. Okay, so it's very much saying there's something about what would bring you joy as opposed to what brings you the sense of duty. That's very, very important for you. And you're getting a lot of promptings from your intuition. You should be listening to them because they're trying to reveal a mystery to you. And it is actually saying that it's in the space of inactivity or receptivity. I mean, this is the other thing about the Emperor and the Empress as archetypes. The Emperor acts and kind of projects out, and the Empress sort of receives and takes within. So this is actually saying, it's saying the same thing. There is a blueprint here which is moving towards the inner intuitive side. Going within helps you get real about what you really care about. Because at the moment, your philosophy, which I think is directed towards being sort of part of a collective and doing your duty, is actually limiting what you could bring out and limiting how your passion and purpose could really work. So it's very much saying it's like a two-step process. It's like you move towards the divine feminine to the Empress. That's why Reena's reading is going to be very important for you. And then that actually liberates and manifests the balanced thing that brings the Emperor into its true passion and purpose, as opposed to a little bit almost self-denying in a way. So let's see what could inhibit you. If that's what you're meant to do, what could inhibit you from doing that, or what could challenge you from pursuing this passion and purpose? Pile 1. 10 of Wands, 6 of Wands reversed, 7 of Cups reversed, Ace of Wands. Okay. It's actually saying nothing will really do it with the Ace of Wands there. You're actually, if you're feeling exhausted around this, you're going to be renewed. So it's actually saying like Garuda's taking you on a journey. It's happening. So that's very powerful. But what this is saying is that you feel to do this, to move outside of, I guess, what is the sort of duty and the things that you're used to, is there's a lot of effort around that. And when this is, I respect my own limits, I think you may overemphasize your own limits because this is making a challenge for you. And you feel like you would not be recognized, or what you did would not be recognized. There's a fear of that. You think it's a pipe dream. But like, even though we're talking about blocks, the Emperor is saying, no, in fact, this is the thing to break out. That it would be true. I think what it is saying is, if you just wanted to kind of progress your career, progress your vocation, all of those sort of things, just doing another version of what everybody else did, then it's not going to work for you. But if you do what is really within you, which is you go within and you find that unique energy that you have and that capacity to manifest, then you'll move forward. It's only in the new. But you won't get that by doing what you've always been doing. So there's a real call to shift, to realign with the Divine Empress, and then to take that forward for you. So let's see then with another tarot deck. We'll just get 3 cards for the viewpoint of the Empress. And as I say, please do go to Reena's reading, because I think that's going to be very important here. I mean, it's going to be important for all the readings, but this is very key for you. So I'm using the Lilith and the Machine tarot deck because I feel like Lilith, is known as the first woman. So, and it kind of fits again, the first energy. So I want to get that kind of power to what the Empress is saying here. So what does she think in relation to this message? 7 of Cups reversed. So she's sort of agreeing about where the block is. Strength reversed. 5 of Wands, yeah. She is saying, yes, the block is there, and it's quite strong because you feel as though this isn't your strong point. Like, I think that many of you will be going, I'm not creative. And it doesn't have to be creative in the sense of, you write a novel, or you do a music album or something. But I think you would be sort of saying, like, I'm doing well with what I'm doing. I believe in working with the community. And none of that actually has to go. It's just that you have something you're meant to bring out. You are meant to take flight with something what will actually help what you care about. But she's saying that at the moment you see yourself as not strong enough. You've talked yourself into that, and you're in a little bit of a kind of inner conflict about it. But that's why she's saying connect with her. Connect with the inner knowing. Then you're going to realise that's actually, it's a false image of yourself. It's negative talk. It's the talk of the side of the Emperor, which is about duty and responsibility, rather than the side of the Emperor that is about how you have passion and purpose. So they're quite agreeing with each other. She definitely thinks that coming and working that through with her helps you move through those blocks. So she's just going, yes, absolutely, to the Emperor. So what can we do to help you? So one of the first things I wanted to do was get you a couple of messages from the Archangel Michael. So the reason that I wanted to do that is firstly because I've got a deck that is basically messages from the Archangel Michael or spiritual energies connecting to that in one form or another, called the Blue Angel Oracle. But secondly, because the Archangel Michael of the range of archangels is the strength of God and the power of God. So I felt like it's as an archangel energy, one that really aligns with the Emperor energy when it is in its best form. So we're going to just get a couple of pieces of advice or perspective from the Archangel Michael for you. Grace and gratitude. Blue Earth Angel. So I think this is actually showing a bit about why this is important. The grace and gratitude, I think, is the fact that we've got a very feminine figure showing there, and a sense of the golden energy coming through. This is a sense that gold, light, the sun, the life path is heading towards balancing with the divine feminine, with the Empress, and that this is actually coming to you as a form of grace. You have been working very hard. This is kind of a congratulations and a prize in a way to then take you forward to what you could really do. But this is why. The Blue Earth Angel is the connection of what you are doing as an evolutionary new act, new way of being, taking that forward, the flight and energy towards it, towards what is happening more generally collectively around a sort of consciousness raising energy here on earth. And it's interesting too that I feel like the earth energy is very strong around the Emperor, because the Emperor is how we manifest this in many ways in the earth. But this is about a different way of thinking and what is happening in the collective. So this is coming to you as an act of grace, but it's also because there is faith in you as being able to take it forward, as being brave enough to take it forward ultimately, even though you may have thought this is bigger than what I had seen for myself. This is meant you actually have, in one form, in whatever way you do this, you actually have a very strong mission around the consciousness of the earth as a whole. So that's why this is very, very powerful. So let's get a few things to show the detail of this on a kind of more manifest level. So the first thing I want to do is I want to use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and I'm going to draw 3 cards just to get a little bit more indication of the energy around what this new thing is that you're meant to manifest, what you will find when you commune more with the Divine Feminine. Thought. So it's a new way of thinking in some ways. And it's bringing together all that you've learnt already, but it's like you put it in a melting pot and you come up with what is new. So there is a different philosophy around this. There's a different message around this. We have the 6 of Water. It is much more connected to the heart. It's in fact connecting, I think, the mind with the heart in a new way, in a kind of alchemical way. And Queen of Water, yeah, and connecting to the Divine Feminine through emotion. So I think, in fact, for you, you have, with your work, with whatever your industry, whatever your passion and purpose is, whatever you would associate with the Emperor, you have actually, I think you actually have come from the heart. I think you've come from it on a collective level. But this is now, there's enough learning from that you can create something very emotionally resonant by really connecting into the Divine Feminine as well with it. And it's meant to bring in a different way of thinking. So the consciousness energy is there as well. I want to get the Heart Code Oracles. I want to get a couple of career energies, because I do feel that the Divine Masculine, the Emperor energy, is often manifest in our career or vocation. So what are the energies around that right now, which will either be challenges to deal with or things to leverage? Boundaries. Okay, I think you put boundaries around yourself. I mean, even if you think about the work card, we think about it like they're in the kind of the place where, all the honey is made. There's boundaries around all of it. I think you need to think about freeing yourself from boundaries in your career. And purpose, yeah, to connect to your purpose. This feels like busy work, being very busy. This feels like creative work and the purpose. So I think it's just confirming it is going to be around your career. So then let's also get a couple of cards around connecting the spirit with the career and the money sort of side of things, the sort of domain of the Emperor. Vigilance, looking for opportunities, keep going, don't quit, make your own luck. The path is lit. Yeah, the path is lit by grace. It will take some bravery. It will take some courage to do this. You will not always know exactly what you're doing until you do it. It's a work in progress. This is when you go within. You go within to find that inner light. And doorway, open to possibilities. Yeah, that's all that really the Divine Masculine, the Emperor, is asking of you at the moment is not to limit yourself, not to put too many boundaries around you. Grace is coming through for a different way of thinking that connects the heart and all that you have learnt. You're meant to bring these things in because you're meant to manifest something new. You have to stay brave and move forward even when the way isn't clear, but the doorways will be there. You just have to go through them. So it's very much an invitation. This is very much an invitation, but there's a pathway to it. And it's like aligning to the Divine Feminine and then finding what the marriage of the two creates that is very unique and is very you. Okay, so given that we're looking at a pathway that may not always be clear, let's get you just a little bit of astrology advice on the path. Full moon, the harvest, reap what you have sown. You've done really well. This is actually a reward. It may feel kind of like uncomfortable and a little bit sort of like I'm a bit lost and like I was kind of comfortable over there, but that has done what it was meant to do. It's your foundation. You're now meant to move forward, but enjoy the reward. You're meant to, and for many of you, this could be that you're going to be promoted or something like that. And that's when you're really going to be able to manifest something that is more your vision. So enjoy the reward. Gemini. So there's something about the way you communicate. Yeah, it's your mind. It's something about what you're going to be saying, something about what you're going to be communicating. There could be two sides to it too. And it's also bringing things into balance, like the divine feminine, divine masculine, the emperor and the empress. And Mercury, yeah, it's definitely, there's something about, I think the way this manifests, it manifests very much through communication, through your thought, through what you are going to say, how you're going to lead, how you're going to influence in some way. This isn't necessarily a creation which is, I create a statue or I create a business. Unless a business is very much around communication, I think this is more that you create a way of thinking, a way of communicating, an influence. You are meant to influence in some way, I believe. So now to close out, we had one other god and Titan. So we know this is all about the movement, the progress. This is meant to be the aspect of your emperor energy that you will manifest when you actually embrace this message from the emperor. Green man, abundance. So you're meant to do well, and I feel like this colouring really connects to the colouring of Grace here, where we've got all the golds and also the greens. Something very natural about it too. When we're talking about blue earth angel, there is something about this earth. You are meant at this point to be on this earth, bring these things into balance and have abundance out of it, create, manifest. Again, really strongly connected to the energy that is promised from the divine feminine, the empress. So I do feel for you, it's a very, very strong connection here, that the key to it quite literally is the Empress reading. And I just thought, like, that's really interesting. We've got the golden thing here, and I just thought, just as I said it, that Reena's channel is gold key guidance. There's something very, very key for you around this. And there's something about gold, I'm feeling, as well. So it could be literally making some money, but it could be sort of something golden, something around the sun, your life path, all of those sort of things as well. So I hope that this resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. And do go over and see what Reena has to say, because as I say, I think that's the key. But for now, I'll wish you well. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Helios, which is about cycles. It's the god of the sun. It's the concept that the sun rises and the sun sets. So there is that sort of sense of things that happen over and over. And there's an evolutionary sort of feeling to cycles, the sort of sense both of that practice makes perfect, doing things sort of like again and again, but then evolving them gradually is what we have in terms of evolution and development. It's also the sense that things come at their right time, the cycles and seasons. So I feel the Emperor wants to talk to you about an evolution. And the reason I say that is that the cards from the Brother to Brother Oracle that came here are fascinating, because they seem to me to be actually showing that. Because we've got Serenos, the hunt. So we have the god Serenos, which is the god of the hunt. We have him with stag antlers on his head. We have a snake, which is about the evolution and the change, the concept of the snake that actually sheds its skin, becomes something more, evolves. But there's an almost predatory kind of, you're after something sort of energy here. So this feels to me like your divine masculine, your emperor, wants something, wants to hunt. And I think it's about your own evolution, what your true purpose is. So there's a sense that you have your eye on the prize. But the interesting thing is he seems like he's looking into the past. So there's a shift that your emperor is asking you to think about, a shift towards the future. Because here we have stag evolve. And what I find really interesting is that, in a sense, Serenos may hunt the stag. That may be the usual way that one did things, like hunting something, hunting a prize in some way. But in fact, the evolution is to become the prize. That's what I think this is talking about. Through the cycles of doing this, you actually become the thing that you were hunting. So there's an energy here of understanding that what your passion and purpose is you. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what it needs to be in many ways. For the Emperor to really come into their power, it's about understanding that it is not external. It is not something you hunt down and get. So for some of you, it may be that you're used to, in thinking about Emperor type things, used to sort of like the next promotion, the next, your big commission, whatever that might be in a job, or the next sort of, celebration of some achievement that is external almost. Whereas this is saying that the prize is really internal. It is what you evolve into. And that's what the Emperor wants to talk to you about. So I actually think this is very exciting. This is like a very big understanding that the external is not as important as the internal. But I do feel that this is saying, because Theranos is a god, so there, you've got two gods here. This is very powerful. It's not like what you've done is wrong. It's that you can take all from the past towards what the future is. So let's see with the tarot a little bit more information. What we're going to do is we're going to ask for a little bit more clarity on the message, the key message that the Emperor is bringing you now. And then we're going to say, how does your passion and purpose and action benefit you, and how does it potentially limit you, or what do you need to sort of think about to get past challenges? Then we're going to get the Empress's viewpoint as a small sort of like aside from her before you go and see what Reena has said, or as an answer or a sort of final postscript if you've gone to Reena's reading first. But let's see here. What is this thing that you've hunted almost externally, but it's actually within and is part of your evolution? Let's get a little bit more information about that. And I just dropped a card, so I feel like that one needs to be included. Okay, King of Discs. Oh, that makes a lot of sense as to why that one had to be included. Okay, and we have Six of Swords reversed, Nine of Cups, Ace of Cups reversed, Knight of Wands. Okay. Now, why I sort of chuckled to myself, because sometimes when cards drop, I feel like, no, I just need to shuffle them in, but I got very strongly to put that one in. It's that's exactly what we're looking at here. Apart from the fact that we have a king who again has the antlers, the King of Discs is very much the material world. It's very much, what is sort of like manifest in the material world, the status and all of those sort of things. Now, none of this means, if you are ambitious, that you can't in fact achieve what you want. But this is saying that the focus on the material side of things is not what's going to propel you forward. In fact, the more that you do that, the more you're going to feel you're not on the right path. So and I do think also the fact that Helios is going into the past, there's something about what has served you before is not going to serve you now. You can still achieve these things, but if you're constantly looking into the past and doing the same thing again, because that probably has worked for you, you've probably been very successful with that, it's not taking you forward, because the thing that's going to take you forward is around what will bring you joy now. And that's the evolution. That's taking it within. There is all this potential there with the Ace of Cups reversed, and it is to bring you towards a really true wish, but it's saying it over and over, because we've got, again, they're looking into the past. Your action has been towards doing the same thing. And it's been very passionate. There's nothing actually missing in the sense of passion. It's just that to get to the stag, to get to the wish, you need to, at the very least, in fact, it's interesting. The stag here is looking directly forward, not looking to the future, is in the present moment. So I think this is what it's saying. And it's almost like looking in a mirror. I feel like looking in the mirror and you see yourself as that, as the evolved being. You get that sense of it, and that connects you to your heart. Whereas, as I say, just doing the same thing, it has succeeded for you before. You probably would succeed. I think you're very successful people, but you're not going to get to what you really could be. So it's like it's saying it over and over. And I think also we get, because here again, these are all looking into the present. This is upside down, but it's saying that that's because looking into the past doesn't take you to the present. It's like you're very much sort of like thinking, well, what's in the past will continue. And that's where the cycles could limit you, but in actual fact, they're meant to take you to the next level. Like I sort of see it almost like, it's almost like there's a DNA helix in the universe. It is you, and it's been going in a particular thing, but then it kind of shifts to the next level. And it kind of has a similar sort of thing, but it's a more complex structure. That's what I think that your Divine Emperor is asking you to do, to evolve towards more of the heart. And that may connect to the Divine Feminine as well, to the Empress. So very important to see what the Empress has to say over in Reena's reading. Let's see at the moment how this promise of evolution that is here. It is very present right now. And actually looking at that, the Nine of Cups, I'm getting a very strong thing that the where they're looking and so forth, this is in the present, but it's looking to the future. This is the key to the future. Let's ask how your power, passion, and purpose can help you with this now. King of Wands, Two of Wands, Crown Prince or the Knight of Discs, Five of Cups reversed. Yeah, this is saying you've been very loyal to particular things. As I say, it probably did do you some good, but now being a little disloyal, a little bit more about what would emotionally help, like serve you, as opposed to just, like I'm going to be in the hunt, I'm going to do the hunt, I'm going to do the hunt. Like this is about more connecting to letting go of disappointments and so forth. It's actually going to make you incredibly creative. This is the evolutionary thing. It gives you choices creatively because it's from within. This is the point. It's like when we focus very much on the external, then we give the power to the external. By doing this, you bring the power in for yourself. You become the leader you really want to be. So, and I do think for many of you, you've had leadership positions or you've had success financially or whatever it might be before, but and you could keep doing it, but to really become what you could be and really have the choices that are yours and have the sort of power of the lion here, this is what you need to do. You need to sort of say, this is me rather than the external world now. I'm also getting for some of you, and it's very specific, but with the King of Discs reverse and then the King of Wands here, it may be moving away from values and approaches that your family had. There may have been a very strong thing for you in your family around the material world, and that it's, like being dedicated and having, sort of stability and security is very, very important. That to not do that, you lose way. And this is saying, no, you're ready to evolve. Okay, so let's see what blocks there could be. Because always when we're sort of trying to manifest an archetype, we will have some blocks. So let's see what they are for you. Knight of Discs. Oh, that would be the Page of Discs. Sorry, I'm getting used to this. So it's still the same sort of thing, but it's like, yeah, it's actually here. It's like if you get caught in the sort of old way of doing things, you don't have the plan that you need to move forward. Again, it's not the mature new way to evolve. Now we have the Knight of Discs reverse. So again, it's like, where was your loyalties? Like your sense of that could be a block. Six of Cups reversed. Yes, a lot of this is about family stuff. The Hermit reversed. The Nine of Wands reversed. Yeah, there's a lot about family or other people here that are blocked. So I think that many of you had a very strong work ethic instilled in you, and a very strong, the material world is how we measure our success and who we are put into you. And this is saying that's a block. It's no longer working for you. It probably did for a while, but it's not working anymore. You need to detach from the things of childhood. Like many times when I see the Six of Cups reversed, or even the Six of Cups, I think it's a kind of suggestion from Spirit to remember what you wanted to be when you were young. But I feel like there's something about how it's almost like what you wanted to be when you were young was sort of accepted, but it was tailored through sort of school and what your parents wanted and all that kind of thing into something that was very material and very externally focused. And this is actually saying that's an issue. It's not really that what you wanted to be when you were young is wrong. It's just how it was tailored. And this is sort of saying it cut you off from your spiritual self. So because you had to be careful what you said and did around other people. So it's the impact of other people here that could be the block. Family, could be friends, could be workplace people as well. But it's, if you were looking into your past, if you were looking into your childhood, look to what was the programming, because it kind of shut down. It gave you enough. The thing about it that's interesting is it gave you some really good skills, and you've done well with it. It's just that you could do more now. And so now it's become a point where it no longer is helping you. It's now actually inhibiting you. Let's see with the Lilith and the Machine deck what the Empress might want to say. I'm just going to pull 3 cards because you should go to Reena's reading and get the full message from the Empress. But I just want to see her perspective on what the Emperor is saying here. Page of Cups. The Star reversed. The Three of Coins reversed. Yeah, she's agreeing. She's saying that there's something in your childhood, there's something in your youth around your heart that kind of got shut down. It shut down all the, like what you really wanted to do. And that's a foundation that needs to be dissolved because it'll allow you to evolve. It's not that it was bad necessarily in your childhood. I mean, some of you may have had difficult childhoods, but I don't really feel for most it's that so much. I think, in fact, if it had been bad, you would have taken less of this in. But I think it's just that you got what you needed to get from that now. And now you've got to kind of like find your North Star again by dissolving some of that and going towards your heart. Okay, so let's get you some help with this. So one of the first things that I wanted to do is I wanted to use a deck that is messages from the Archangel Michael, because of all the archangels, it's one of the archangels that probably typifies some of the Emperor energy, given that it's the strength of God. It's often a warrior archangel. So I just wanted to see what advice Archangel Michael would have for you around the messages from the Emperor. So, multi-dimensional healing. Luna, oh yeah, it's very much connected to the moon, to the divine feminine is very important here. I'm not surprised. I suspect that's going to come up in all of them. But there is something about the cycles of the moon. There's something about getting within your own psychic ability. You have shut it down a bit. It was showing that. So Michael is inviting you to open that up again. And also it's interesting, the cycles of the moon. So I feel that for you, like watching the energies of sort of the new moon, the first quarter, the waning gibbous, all of those sort of things, like they're going to give you sort of like signposts about when the energy is good to move forward and evolve and when to go within. And there are particular periods around that. And the new moon is a good time to withdraw and reflect. Waxing crescent is a good time for new intentions and seeds and so forth. So I think there's something about the moon cycles that will help you here. But this is actually something to heal you. This is the evolution. I feel like the stag energy here is very healing for you. It's to reconnect you to what you are as a multidimensional being. You've been very grounded to the earth, and there's nothing wrong with being grounded to the earth, but you are more than that. And this is to heal and connect you to that so that you can evolve, so that you can reconnect with all the levels of your soul in a more seamless way, I think. And Michael is helping you with that. So that's very esoteric. We also want to have a look, because this is the Emperor that we're talking about what I would call almost the 3D Emperor sort of stuff, around how you manifest your passion, purpose, ambition, and so forth. So we're firstly going to get 3 cards from the Dreams of Gaia to get a sense of just how this is kind of going to start to play out in the 3D. So we have the Crone, bringing in wisdom. It's interesting too, it's the Crone. So yeah, this is the wisdom of the past. There's something in the Empress energy that is very wise for you, but it's a bit like, I feel like Cernunnos is very wise too. It's like, it's not that there was anything wrong with what you were doing. I think it was just a learning, and you have the wisdom now. It's how you take that wisdom forward that is going to be important. We then have the 4 of Air. This is about systems and processes in this deck and how we think about them. So I think this is a bit of a clue. Because you have done very, very well, I think. You're very, very good in the material world. Part of that is probably because you're very good at planning, seeing, like really working out what you want, and the good timing of things. I think you would have an excellent sense of timing. This is also giving you a clue how to take that wisdom forward, how to evolve. It's like almost apply the same planning process to how you take this within, how you evolve, how you become the thing that you were almost seeing the external world as validating you as. And the Queen of Air, yeah, how you think about things. This is really just a perspective shift. And you have the wisdom to do it and the communication skills to do it. The interesting thing too is the Queen of Air is a Gemini card, so there is a sense there of being able to balance both. It's not like you have to throw away all that you've achieved. It's more that it's now more you and how you take that within that's important. So let's sort of see around career energies, because career and vocation are very important. Just like a couple of energies that are around this at the moment that the Emperor wants you to focus on. These could either be challenges or benefits. So we'll just see what we get. Purpose. Yeah, what's your purpose? Your purpose is to evolve. What's all our purpose ultimately? Our purpose is to evolve. Because in evolving and moving past just hunting the sort of material sort of side of things and the sort of sense of self through that, evolving to who we truly are, we actually end up giving back more to the earth anyway. It aligns better. And education. Okay, that's interesting with the crone, and also with this. There could be a bit of a clue for some of you that there is some form of education, training, and it could be self-education. You could be a lifelong learner, and that could be a thing to do, or it could be, some form of education will actually help you move from the kind of almost, as I say, very 3D oriented, very, like what is the outcome materially, to sort of something that is a higher order thing. There might be sort of something, it could be getting a coach or a mentor could be helpful. Okay, let's also connect the sort of finance and career energy to the spirit for you. Phoenix, rising from the ashes. So if you have felt, now it is possible with this, that you've felt that some of your glories were in the past and you're trying to work out how to move into the future, then you are going to rise. It's just a matter of starting to realize that this is about taking some of those sort of victories and those sort of glory days and creating what you want to be. So some of you may have hit a block, in fact, in, maybe it is that like just hunting and going after the glittering prize is no longer working. But that's because you're evolving, you're leveling up. You know better now, pile 2. And strike now, time-sensitive opportunity, and their timing is very important. Show up, follow up, expand, all of these things. This is a very good time to do this, and you will have, as I say, a very good sense of timing about when to rise, when to sort of take this forward as well. But there is a kind of time of the essence at the moment. To help you with that, let's get a little bit of astrology advice. Mars, yeah, the divine masculine is very important at the moment now. So the Emperor is very important, your passion, your purpose, your ambition. There is nothing wrong with that. I think it drove you before, and you did really well in many ways in whatever this is, but the time is now, and you need to really look at who you are and how you want to take your personal ambition forward. Action is called for. Pile 2. We have Cancer. It may be in the protection of others. It may also be action around things from your home life, from way in the beginning. As I say, there's something in your nurturing, thinking about that. It's not to throw it all out. It's to work out how to evolve it. And Earth. Yeah, this is meant to be done on Earth, action on Earth. But there is also something about what you learnt when you were young. It's a different form of education, teaching yourself in a different way, striking now to do something different, thinking about manifestation on the earth in a different way. Okay, so the closing energy was to say here with the gods and titans, so we started with Helios. This is to see the kind of inner emperor energy that you could manifest if you actually take on the challenge, I think, and the messages of the Emperor archetype now. So for you, we have Vulcan, inventiveness. Okay, that's really interesting because the inventor, the creator, comes from within. And the Vulcan was an incredible artisan, was an incredible master at what they do. So this is, you've learned, and you can take this to another level, you evolve. But Vulcan also, was, I believe, married to Venus or Aphrodite. So there was a kind of a drive about sort of bringing the art and the craft and so forth towards beauty. So, and very, very clever. So there's a cleverness here. You have the cleverness, you can do this. So, and when we think about art and artisanship and inventiveness, it is the evolution. It is what is true to yourself here rather than just, and interestingly, I think also Vulcan or Hephaestus, which is the other version of Vulcan, was not necessarily seen as powerful in the pantheon, but became powerful through their own artifice, through their own design, through their own inventiveness. So this is, again, it's sort of like if you felt that you had to be powerful or have status or be seen in some way by the external things, you've learned all you needed to do from that. This is now taking this forward because you're going to come into that in your own right. So I do definitely think, again, with the inventiveness, with the sort of sense of creativity, that the messages from the Empress are going to be very important. So please do go and see Reena's reading. But beyond that, I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope it resonated. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Lug, who is all about skill. It's a god who had amazing skills and was able to in a sense move forward in terms of his mastery, his own emperorship, I guess, in terms of skill, and in societies or in sort of pantheons where skill was very important. So there is something in your emperor, what the emperor wants to talk to you about, which is about your unique skills and what you can do with it. The interesting thing is that we have the raven with transformation, and we have a dragon here with create. There is something very creative, I think, that, but transformative. There's a sort of almost a scorpionic energy, or almost an energy from a psychopomp, almost sort of from the underworld or the liminal space in some way, or even potentially prophetic, which you have the skill to connect to create something new. And I feel like it's really interesting here. I feel like that the dragon is looking at the raven is looking at the dragon. So it's a sort of like a partnership. I feel like these are energies within you and they're in partnership, and your skill is kind of balancing those. So the wish to kind of like look to the future, to understand the future, all the sort of, as I say, the thing about the psychopomp that sees, life to life, all of those sort of energies, that kind of wisdom is in partnership with a fiery creative energy that wants to evolve and transform things from the past into what they could be in the future. So they're looking to each other. Your inner dragon and your inner raven. And I feel like the raven almost feels a little bit feminine. It feels a little bit like the Empress. So I think it's going to be very important to sort of see what Reena's reading tells you in relation to that, because I think there's going to be something very key in the creative energy that she'll talk about that is also transformative. But your inner dragon, which feels very emperor, is very interested in that. So you kind of, they're very much in harmony, I think, and this is part of your skill. Whether it is in the creative arts, or whether it is just something in your material world, or any of the sort of areas of the emperor, they're in harmony. They're working together. And I almost feel, this will sound a bit weird, but I almost feel like they're a little bit in competition with each other. Just a little, just a smidge. I feel like they're kind of looking at each other going, okay, and what are you going to bring now? I'm going to do this, and then I'll one-up you with this. And then it sort of feels like with skill that there's almost a joy in competition, not in a negative way, but in a way that like pushes both sides of your personality forward more. So the Emperor kind of delights a bit in this, delights in that sense of like how you can skillfully win. Like it's almost a gamesmanship feeling to this. It's almost like, I don't know whether the people who come here love to sort of play, computer games and things like that, but there's there's a sense of a delight in that because of the skill. So I think what your Emperor wants to channel here is how you best and skillfully use your abilities to sort of create what you want and to transform what you need to transform. So let's use tarot to get a little bit more information on this. So we're going to sort of start with firstly just asking what other messages is the Emperor trying to bring you around this. Then we're going to ask how your passion, purpose and action can help you. We're also going to ask what could be the blocks. And then we'll get a little bit of a viewpoint from the Empress as well, as a bit of a taste towards what Reena would be saying if you then go to her reading, or if you've come from her reading, to give you a kind of a postscript or a summing up of some of that from the perspective of what the Emperor is saying. So firstly, what else can we hear about this? What are you doing, Pile 3? It looks kind of fun, and it looks skillful, and it looks clever as hell. So what is the Emperor wanting you to do? Nine of Swords, Strength, Four of Cups, Ten of Swords, the Moon reversed. Okay, this is very mental. This is probably why I'm sort of getting this sort of image of sort of like, computer games, AI, all of that. This is like, the transformative energy. It's taking you out of, I think that many of you actually deal very well with shadow work. Very well. This is why I'm sort of feeling like a psychopomp with being in the underworld with the 9 and 10 of swords here. But I feel like this is actually, they're often challenging cards, but I think for you, they're kind of the fire that makes you create and makes you transform. Like you don't mind a challenge, and you don't mind a riddle, or you don't mind as I say, there's a gamesmanship, and you know you're up to it. So when many people would, with the energy of 9 and 10 of swords, feel kind of worried and overwhelmed, you're quite the opposite. You're quite the opposite. It's like, yeah, they're both saying, yeah, I'm ready. Like, I'm up for this. Game on. That's what it feels like. Really, really strong. This is one of your strengths. It's actually like, you would be if you're not sort of like a computer game person. It's like game theory. It's like you kind of get it. You get something about the architecture of the universe and the game aspect of it. Like you'd be one of the sort of people who go, yeah, I could be living in a simulation, and it wouldn't really bother you because you'd be like, okay, let's crack the code. Let's understand it. So I feel like this is actually turning what is often difficult sort of like mental energy into the challenge. This is where you thrive. And I think that the Emperor is saying, like, that's great. That's really what you do. But you also do need to have some downtime. With the moon reversed here, things are meant to come up from your subconscious a bit more, and you need to be in a bit of a downtime space. So this is where the raven is important. This is where the Empress is important, because there's almost a little bit of a drive here where the creativity is sort of like, in the game is kind of the thing that fires you up. But it is saying that you can't transform without hearing from within. So I think that the inner Emperor is saying if you tilt in one way or the other, it's a little bit more towards the dragon, but you also need this, and you know it. So let's sort of see what your power and passion and purpose and ambition can do when it's sort of working well for you. Pile 3. The Devil reversed. The Page of Swords. Temperance. And the Sword. Yeah, there's a lot in the mind here. And that's fine. It's saying it over and over. Your communication skills, analytical skills, off the charts, and really, really kind of like you're well balanced. Like you wouldn't play this game in any kind of cynical way, because you kind of like are tilting towards what is right. You're using your skills for good, not for anything that you would not be manipulative. You would not be exploitative, any of those things. This is like, it's for the sheer joy of it, the sheer joy of the mental acuity, of understanding, of taking things forward. But you also do want to communicate the truth, and you do want to be in balance. So you do get the importance of that, because you want to liberate yourself and others, and you could liberate others in some way. Like, what you feel like? You feel like Neo. I've got to say, you feel like Neo. Like, I get this whole matrix energy from this. Like, liberate from the matrix, understand it, like crack the code. That's what it feels like. I think this is you have this skill, and as I say, you don't have to be someone who plays games or works in AI or even is academic or anything. Your mind is very, very sharp, whatever you do with this, but you get the system in some way, and you're looking to how to use that to bring it into better balance, because that liberates people within the system. So let's have a look at what could be challenges for you given this. The Emperor reversed, 3 of Wands, 2 of Cups, 7 of Swords reversed. Okay, so firstly, the interesting thing about you is that you are in this, and your Emperor energy is in this for the skill and the joy of doing it, not for being boss. And it may be, the Emperor is saying here, that you might have to rethink that. You might have to think about whether you take on a leadership role, because just being in the game and almost observing it or cracking the code, as opposed to taking this forward in some way, you're not necessarily going to achieve everything that you want to achieve. You need to find other people who have a similar view so that you can take your plans forward, because at the moment you're meant to lead with this, but it's more like, as I say, it's the game rather than leading. And again, I'm feeling that Neo thing, because Neo didn't know if he was the one. It's that kind of energy that could be a block for you if you're limiting that. And it may be that you also need to find your other half. This might be why they're looking at each other. I think for some of you, there is literally here a divine union that's important. And until you find that, you may not fully get it into balance. So it'd be very interesting to see what Reena has to say. This is saying also that you're not being completely honest with yourself. There's a block in being completely honest with yourself about the fact that you're meant to sort of move forward into sort of some position more of authority or leadership, as I say. But it may be that you've got to, your dragon has to find your raven, basically. And when that occurs, and if you are in a relationship already, it might be that it's how you connect together with that other person that is actually going to do this. You don't have to do it on your own, but you do have to lead in some way. So let's see, given that's so important with the connection to the divine feminine here, what the Empress has to say. So I'm just going to use the Lilith and the Machine Tarot. Just for 3 cards, this is like you need to go to Reena's reading to get the full story from the Empress, but this is just a little bit about her view on what the Emperor is saying here. The Devil. Yeah, it's about freedom. The 10 of Wands. The 7 of Swords. Okay. What she's saying is, this is very interesting. She's saying the point about this and why you have to start to look at this as a leadership as opposed to just cracking the code is that you could put so much effort into the game itself that you get caught in the game. So there's a thing here about if you're that skillful and that clever, do you put all your energies into just playing by the rules of the game, or are you meant to actually free your energy and others from the game? And if you do that, the thing that gets in the way is if all the effort goes into the game, as I say, the game beguiles you as opposed to you freeing yourself from the game and freeing others from the game. So very interesting energy, you guys. So let's get you some help. So firstly, I wanted to get some messages or energy from Archangel Michael, because Archangel Michael, to me, of all the archangels, probably has the strongest, what I would call almost emperor-like energy. And Michael is the strength of God, the warrior in many ways, the protector. So I just wanted to see what Michael might have to say in relation to what is being channeled from your inner emperor. Michael descent, yeah, coming down into the world in some way. So you're very strongly connected to Michael. And light ship Earth. So, yeah, you have a bit of a cause, I've got to say. Just as I say, like, again, I'm just going to use Neo because it's such a good example of this sort of energy. The beginning of the Matrix, he's just a computer hacker, brilliant at it, able to sort of like kind of evade the system a lot. And then he comes into his true purpose. So there is a energy from the archangel realms that is wanting to descend, wanting to come into you, wanting to connect you to what you could truly be, because there's something about this earth that needs to be released, that needs to have the light coming in. So, this is why, you are drawn towards justice. You do have a cause, but you can do much more with this than you're thinking you can do, pile through. Okay, so let's give you some practical help around that. So first I'm going to use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot for just 3 cards for a little bit about how you can manifest the energy of the Emperor here. The Queen of Water. So there's an emotional connection. This is connecting to the Raven. This is connecting the Raven, like the Queen of Water, a Scorpio. Raven, as I said at the beginning, had a scorpionic feeling to it. This is the depths of emotion. This is understanding that there's another layer to this game. There is a very clever kind of architecture of it, but there's also the emotional. And it really makes me think, again, one of the ways that I look at the Kabbalah, when I look at Chokhmah and Binah, so the second and third Sephiroth, I see Chokhmah very much almost like the architect in the Matrix, and Binah like the oracle. So I feel like there is something oracular, and that's again this feeling with the Raven, the prophecy. There's something oracular in what you can do. It's not just that you can play the game, you can actually see the consequences of the game, and connecting to your heart is really, really important. And we have wisdom, yeah, and that's the Chokhmah side of it. So it's the balance of both. You already have the wisdom. It's like, what is the heart of this? And abundance. It's meant to bring in abundance for you, abundance for others. That connection, doing both, will bring in more for you than just playing the game. So let's see on a very 3D level the energies around career for you. Now these could be challenges or they could be things to leverage. So firstly we have trust. So this could be trust in yourself and trust in others. One of the things about being very skillful in this sort of way, particularly intellectually, is that sometimes that you're always looking for the key to break through something or whatever, and like who can you trust? So there could be an issue here, and then going into your heart will help you with that. Listening to the Empress will help. And purpose. This one has come up in every single reading. So, and it fits because, like, you know, the reading was about your passion and your purpose, and it's saying these messages are very clear about taking you towards your purpose. I think it's also saying trust your purpose, that it's more than just the skill of the game. There is something to be achieved here. So let's also have a look at how finance and career energy connects to your spiritual path. Discern. Screening your options, important choices, pros and cons, dig for gold, only the best. Yeah, you can use this skill for discernment. But I also think the emotional, the transformative, the raven, the precognitive, all of that stuff will help you discern not just the architecture of the game, but what's really underneath the game. And unicorn, unique perspective. Yeah, you bring a very unique perspective to this. Miracle worker. What you could do in this space if you connect these things could seem miraculous. Could seem like something that nobody would have thought was possible. So there's a real sense of a mission around this for you, pile 3. Okay, so given that, let's get you some astrology to help. Though I think of all the reasons you need the least help, to be honest. I think you just need to really connect with your inner Empress and your kind of raven energy. It just flips the perspective for you. But let's see the astrology around it. So we've got the 3rd house. Yeah, what are you learning? How are you communicating? What are you thinking? Mercury is very important here. Cardinal. Yeah, instigate something new. This is the thing. This is why these guys are trying to kind of collaborate with your skill. It's like you're so good at the game that exists, you're supposed to disrupt the game and bring a new game in. You're meant to be an instigator, pile 3. And the 2nd house, which will bring you the abundance. Like, this is going to do very well for you materially, whatever this is. You're meant to be really successful materially. Okay, so how we're going to finish is it was the 2nd Gods and Titans card that was under this card at the beginning. I don't know what it is, but what it will be is showing something about the energy of what you are meant to do. If you take this energy on and you take on the messages of the Emperor, what you can achieve. Wow, Shiva. Okay. So Shiva is ultimately extremely creative, but is also destructive. I think there is something here in what you're doing at whatever level it is, which is about breaking down the old order and bringing in a new one. And understanding the rules of the matrix, the rules of the game, and breaking through and destroying that which is not positive, what is not of life, because ultimately Shiva is of life, and is a great creator as well. So very, very powerful. You have the skill, but you have so much more. This is what this is saying. You are skillful, but you are so much more, and you connect those two things together. Nothing can stop you. Really impressive, really interesting energy. I'll be fascinated to hear from people in the comments about this if you care to share. But beyond that, do go and see what Reena's reading has for you from the Empress if you haven't already done it, because I do think there is a very big key in connecting to that connects very much to the Raven energy, and your inner Empress and your inner Emperor want to work in harmony. And they want to compete a little bit with each other, but in a very, very friendly and productive way. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, as I'd say, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.